So the first part is vision. That's where you share maybe the journey that you've been on. That's where you share then, all right, what are the core values? I like to look at it, Lona, as in part one, I reflect first on the past before then I vision cast to the future to get everyone excited, right? So part number one is vision/mission/core values. It's the place where I get everyone's heart set right.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way.
Welcome back to the Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast with the amazing Dr. Lona Cook and myself, Dr. Bobby Ilijasevic. And today, team, we're going to be covering part two of our last podcast around board meetings, but specifically, we're going to be covering the how behind a board meeting. So, Lona, all right, I've heard you guys. I've heard it out loud. Yes, board meetings are important, and I recognize the importance of it. Whether it's just me doing it on my own, or whether I've got a team of 20 people or a team of 50 people, I get that I should be every quarter regularly stopping and making sure that we're reflecting and making sure that we're looking forward then and we're creating the vision of what we're going to achieve. Now, tell me the how. All right, I want to know, how do you do this? So you must have a process around this. You must have a system around executing board meetings. But I'd love to hear from you on this. And of course, I'll chime in. But I'd like to hear from you on this. How do you guys execute your board meeting? What guidance can you give me? Is there do you break it down into a checklist? Do you break it down into components or parts of it? I've heard you say in the past, there's a goals section and then there's a vision section, right? Why don't you take us through, how do you run your board meeting inside your organization?
Yeah, so in preparation for my board meeting, what I like to do is usually use a Google form and send that out to my team, asking some check-in questions. So I'll have everyone on the team fill this out. And generally it's questions like, what do you consider were some of the wins that you personally experienced and the team experienced this last quarter? What were some challenges we faced? What are some things that are challenging you professionally right now? Is there solutions you have to it? Was this quarter overwhelming? Do you feel like you have more capacity? Just unearthing some of where each of my team members at, because a lot of times the feedback I get on that allows me to then speak into it when I'm speaking into where we're going next and rallying the whole team around the next steps and the next focus and where some of our projects are going to lie. So I think that's a key first step. And I guess I'm curious too, Bobby, do you do something like that in preparation where you're unearthing some more details from each of your team member? Or how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's the old adage, preparation prevents something poor performance. So that definitely goes into a board meeting as well. It's like the preparation process. It also gives you tools to work with, and it gives you assets at the board meeting. So I love what you said there about getting team members' feedback. Another way that you can do this is you can get, in the Remarkable Practice, we have our attraction, conversion, retention, team building success scores, which gets you to grade 25 different areas of the practice in those areas. So you can get people to just grade the practice through those success scores as well. It'll probably take them about 15 minutes to do that. I like that you intertwine personal elements of it as well, because practice life and personal life are absolutely intertwined together. I know you spoke more about the individual team member. I can speak more about then the other parts. We do a preparation in terms of reviewing all of our stats in detail. Review our marketing in detail. We review our project execution in detail and how we've gone with our last projects in the quarter, which ones were successfully executed. And then, we have wins and learns for each part of that. So that's the preparation process that goes behind. I know this is more of a mechanical thing, but I find that it helps a lot of people when I explain it to them. We have it's a Canva document, which is our board meeting slideshow. And so the board meeting slideshow, it's the same slideshow, but we go in and edit it. So it's just a document stored in one place and it gets edited from board meeting to board meeting. And I found also as your team grows, the more involvement of other people on the team that you have running parts of the board meeting, the better. So yes, as the CEO, you have your section that you run, but you want to get your DCs running section, clinical sections in there. You want to have maybe some case studies that DCs do. You want to have your marketing manager, if you've got a marketing person, run the marketing section, your COO run the stats and project section, right? the more chime in that you get from other people, the more buy-in that you get as well. So there's definitely sections that I'm prepared for, but then I'm getting those other team members to prepare for their sections as well ahead of time.
That's so good. I'm so glad you brought that up. And the more that there's people sharing in the leadership role, it's just setting the team up for growing in the future. So it's not all on the CEO to be the one that brings all of this to the table.
Yes.
Yeah. And what you just said there, just double click on, I know a fair number of docs that we speak to, whether we're having strategy calls with or we're beginning coaching with them, may not have great stats. Like they might not be really taking, all the stats that they need to really fully squeeze the juice out of what's already occurring in their practice and understanding where their team needs help and more training and more focus. So that's a huge piece of this too, is realizing like, I need to do a board meeting because I need to rally my troops. And we also need to figure out how to get data so that we can actually run the business, right? Versus letting the practice run you. So what Bobby just said, they're having time to sit down and look at what just happened and compare, yes, high level stats, but even like the smaller detailed things that relate to attraction, conversion, retention, and making sure that we understand, where the team might be having challenges so that we can bring that to the team.
Yep, spot on. So from a structure point of view, here's how I look at it. All right, let's just do a year view first. So we run a quarterly board meeting. So that means that we run 4 of them per year. Of those 4 per year, 2 are what we call majors and 2 are what we call minors. So the major one is our annual. That's sometimes people just call that the annual board meeting as well, or the yearly annual. That one for us happens at the end of the year, generally happens in December. And so that's when we review the whole year and then we get ready for the upcoming year. That's a longer one. So that one usually will take a whole day. It usually takes minimum 5 or 6 hours. We do different things there. Like I think this year we've hired out a house where we get a house overnight as well. So we have day 1 board meeting. Whoever wants to sleep over can sleep over. Day 2 is like house party with pool and all that kind of good fun stuff. Last year we hired a boat. So it was like, all right, day 1 was board meeting inside a boardroom. So that one is always done off-site. We don't do it in the office. We go off-site. So that one's done in a boardroom where you have the inspirational view and you can see the vision and you're above, we're in the major city. You're above the city. And then the next day, all right, big boat party. So we hired out a big cruiser, went out in a boat, private boat party. And, we want to change the energy of that, get people out of their environment. Then the middle of the year, that's the semi-annual. So that's also a major one. That's a longer board meeting too. And then we have 2 smaller ones. So one at the end of Q1 and one at the end of Q3. Those smaller ones might be more like short and sharp. We're talking like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And those 2-hour shorter board meetings, usually we do those in the office, although sometimes it can be nice to kind of change environment for that as well, right? So that's the overall structure. Lona, is there anything you want to add to that? Do you do anything different around that, or is it pretty similar?
No, I love that. I want to point out, and Bobby, you probably have felt this too. So, I've had multiple practices and I used to bring everyone together for the board meeting, which I still think is a good thing at times. But what I realized also is that the independent practices needed to have their own also time to really chew through the details and understand for their unique location. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about opening multiple practices or you have multiple practices like Bobby, I'd love your thoughts on how you've navigated that. One practice might need different things than a different practice and how you bring that together, or if you do keep them totally separate.
No, absolutely. So if you have more than one practice, I should say, you have what we call an enterprise. So you should start looking at it as the enterprise and the individual practice. The enterprise is the collection of offices. The individual practice is the individual office. So whether you have 2, whether you have 20, whether you have 202, you've got an enterprise, which like oversees all 202 or both of them. And then you've got each individual location, like you said, that has its own requirements and needs and love and support, right? And it's kind of like, a family. If you have multiple kids, you have a family, right? It's a family unit, and there's things that you do that benefit everybody, that's in everyone's favor. But then each individual person has their own individual needs within that family as well, right? So exact same thing. So for that reason, there's certain things you can combine, like, for example, the annual, definitely get everyone in on the annual. It's like, all right, get everyone in on that once a year. Big companies, success leaves clues. You look at big companies, they have their yearly annual where their whole leadership teams and everyone will get out and, get together on this and basically vision cast to like where the company is going compared to where it's been, So yes, in answer to your question directly, you want to do both, where you want to have individual get needs be met, but then you also want to have the enterprise needs being met as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So some offices do this a bit different, and there's no one size fits all. You might say, all right, the two big ones, 2 a year, let's do that as a whole company, and then 2 little ones, we'll do that individual. Other offices that I know will do 1 annual, and then the quarterly board meeting is just done with the individual practice, right? So there's a couple of different ways to do it, but I think it's important to separate them. Yes.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's talk now about the actual structure of the board meeting. So when I look at mine, I always separate into 4 areas. So when I'm preparing, there's like 4 sections to the board meeting, 4 parts, if you like, 4 headings. And then under each heading, there's individual work that we do. So the 4 sections of the board meeting, and how long you spend in each section is dependent on whether you're doing a big board meeting or a little board meeting. But here are the 4 sections. So part number 1 always is vision, okay? Vision, mission, core values. So in my annual, I probably spend a good hour in this section. And the first 60 or 90 minutes is me like unpacking vision. Often I'll hear talk about the history. Like in last year's annual board meeting, I went through a history lesson of like, we had a phenomenal year of growth, a lot of team expansion, a lot of team members. And I realized a lot of people on the team probably, they see the product right now, which is this big machine. But like, let me take you through what it was like on day 1. So I was like, all right, let me take you on a journey. Here's day 1. Here's us opening the practice in front of the first doors. And, it was this small little space that had these tacky, mirrors, I remember, at the front, that said chiropractor on a main road. It was on this busy main road, and, it was like really dirty outside, and there was bus stop right in front. And, the practice was tiny, but it was good for people to see that, because they see this practice now, which is like absolutely impeccable. We've got like marble stones and terrazzo tile and, fluted wood ceilings everywhere and suspended ceilings, all that kind of fancy stuff. I wanted them to see that wasn't how it started, right? And that the journey unfolded, through these different stages. But one thing that always remained consistent to the journey is that everything was focused on the people. Everything was focused on getting better outcomes for people, which is what's led us to kind of get to something like this, and getting better outcomes for our team as well. So it creates engagement with the team. So the first part is vision. That's where you share maybe the journey that you've been on. That's where you share then, all right, what are the core values? I like to look at it, Lona, as in part 1, I reflect first on the past before then I vision cast to the future to get everyone excited, right? So part number 1 is vision/mission/core values. It's the place where I get everyone's heart set right. And I get everyone's chime in here. So very often I'll get people's chime in also about like, all right, what was their biggest success this year? And what was, also their biggest challenge this year? Because I want to get everyone's heart in the right place. Then I move to part 2. Part 2 for me is the goals section. So goals is like, that's when we do stats review. All right, let's review now. So now we get our thinking caps on. How did we do last year, or how did we do last quarter? Let's break down our stats specifically. We go attraction, conversion, retention. We look at our stats in detail. Where did we overperform? Where did we underperform? I don't really, I kind of had this belief that we're either always growing or always shrinking. So it's like, great, where did we not hit our goals, and where did we like overperform our goals, which is awesome. Let's celebrate that. And then let's troubleshoot it, problem solve it. Then we move into, that's still part number 2 of the goal section. What are our goals for the upcoming quarter? And those will be calibrated relative to our yearly goals. So if we've just had a great quarter in quarter 1 relative to our yearly goals, we might up calibrate our goals for the year. Or if we're behind, we don't down calibrate our goals for the year. We up calibrate our action steps to get back on track. So if I look at the first quarter and I go, we missed our targets based on our yearly targets, I won't down regulate our yearly targets. I'll up regulate our action steps so we can get back to the yearly targets, right? So that's part 2. It's goals, stats review, looking backwards, looking forward, what we need to do. Then part 3 is marketing. So this is where we look at what marketing is coming up for the upcoming quarter, month by month, how many new patients are we going to be attracting to the office, and through what systems, and where do we need people chiming in and individual help and support. So that's part 3. It's the marketing section. And then part 4, the final part of the board meeting for me, is project planner. So project planner is where I want everyone through the quarter collecting their ideas. And then my office manager will bring those ideas together leading up to the board meeting. And then we bring all the ideas for projects in the different domains of the business to the project planner section. And then we do something which I would consider this, Lona, probably, if not the most important part of business, I would consider this one of the most important parts of business. It would definitely be in the top 3. Okay. And that is this small little process, which I call sequencing. And sequencing means that in business, there is a million things that you could do right now that's going to be supportive for your business. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should be doing them. What separates great business mind and great business acumen is the ability to sequence. And sequence means, okay, there's these 50 things that we could be doing right now. However, let's do this one first, this one second, this one third. So creating an order or a sequence like that where you start to build momentum and compound is one of the most important things in business, because you see this with people. They focus on the wrong thing. So I remember in the early days, let me give you a classic example of this. In the early days when I first opened my practice, I didn't know how to get new patients into the door. So I was focused on things like, let me think about this. I was focused on something like, how do I improve these 3 slides in the Better Results Faster workshop? Because I thought that would be my highest leverage thing, rather than get out of my fear zone and how do I get out into the community and start talking to people and meeting people and getting them in the office in the first place so they could even get to a BRF workshop, right? And I needed someone to say to me, and I at that stage was having 2 people in my BRF. I only ever have one once, I think, but I would always have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I thought, if I just clean up my BRF, that's where like the big leverage point was. But it really wasn't. Reflecting back for me and my journey, the big leverage point was get out of your office and go meet people, right? So I needed to learn sequencing. Really, is I should have booked more screenings in that quarter so I can meet more people. But then the same thing is now, whatever level you're stuck on now, it's like there's probably a million things you could focus on to get to the next level. Doesn't mean you should focus on them. You've got to actually work out the right sequence of things to focus on. So that's our project planner section. And that's when we unpack, what are the major projects? And then we decide what are the projects that we're focused on in that quarter. So they're the 4 parts of the board meeting.
So good. Yes.
How does that differ for you? I'd love to hear your take on it. So how do you guys prepare, execute, and then do you have sections to it like that? Are they different? I'd love to hear your process around it.
Yeah, it's very similar. Like you, I usually am presenting from like a PowerPoint scenario that I've prepared in advance, or my office manager has helped prepare. And we tend to bring the accountability grid into that conversation where everyone kind of has used it multiple times, looking at what you just laid out there: attraction, conversion, retention, money flow into the practice, team building. And based on the goals that we already had mapped out for the upcoming quarter, like what do we see in just looking through those 5 domains as any issues or areas that need more focus or some tweaking, and discuss like, okay, where are we like totally on track? We're going to, if we continue what we're already doing, we're still going to hit our goals for like the trajectory of the year. Like, let's continue those behaviors and make sure that we're, whoever's owning those projects, great, you're doing great. Like, let's keep this going, squeeze the juice together of anything we can learn there and keep going. And then somewhere that's deficient, or we know that it's not going to continue on the trend we need it to keep hitting goals as we grow, that's where we'll spend more time unearthing either if there's specific things that we need to tweak in our process to open up some capacity. Is there more support that's needed? Is it, something that AI can solve for us? Like, just having that discussion and really squeezing the juice from what the team sees as well, as it relates to, how we're going to be able to hit the goals that are laid out for the quarter, so that by the end of the team meeting, when we get into like, knowing what all the stats will trend out to, and like meeting one-on-one, which usually I do later in the day to like just reaffirm our scorecards and key performance indicators for each person. Everybody understands what they own and how it relates to like where we're going to go next and what projects were unearthed that would be the primary focus for them. So similar to you, I would say by the end of the day, I just want good clarity for each person as to like where they need to be focused as we start to move in the next 13 weeks.
Yep. I love what you just added there. So you added, and make sure I heard this right, that you have a section there that you also then, after the team board meeting, you address individuals and you go through how the individuals perform in their KPIs for the quarter as well.
Yep. You got it.
Yep. Love it, guys. I'm glad that you brought that up. That's fantastic, because it's absolutely what you should be doing. So as you can see, so it looks like you follow a similar structure, Lona, in terms of you'll do, a vision section, then you'll do a stats/goal section, and you'll do a marketing section, you'll do a project section, correct?
You got it. Yep. And I always start with vision because whether we're doing our weekly training or we're doing a weekly or a quarterly board meeting, if we go high level and then get into the details and the nitty gritty, it's like you can't really do that in the reverse order, right? Otherwise we lose the bigger push of energy as to like, why are we even doing it in the first place, right?
Yeah, that's true. And it goes back to, in the Remarkable Practice, we talk about an order of learning and training, and the order is heart, head, hands, feet. You always start with the heart first, and the heart is the why. So let's say if you're introducing a new system inside of your office, you want to start with the heart first. So I remember in the early days, I'd be like, oh guys, there's this new care plan that we're doing now. So we're changing. We're not going to do what we're doing before. We're going to be doing X amount of visits for X amount of weeks, and then a progress report, and then X amount of visits for X amount of weeks, and another progress report. And that would be the how. And most of the time when I did that, it would be met with like rolling eyes until I recognized and realized, no, start with the why first, the heart first, which is like, guys, we need to make, when it comes to care planning, it's like people who have clarity are the people who stick under the care the longest, and the people who stick under the care the longest are the ones who get the best outcomes, right? Yep. Guys, one thing that we know is that in chiropractic, the more you engage in chiropractic, the more that you get from it. It's something that's done with you, and over time it has a compounding effect. In fact, the number one law that you want to leverage in chiropractic to help you get best outcomes is the law of momentum. You're either taking one step forward or, one step back. And so planning in advance, just like anything in life, is how you get the best outcomes. So one thing that's come to my attention is that our care plans can be cleaned up so we can get better results for people. Who agrees with this? Yep, everyone agrees. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So I was thinking, why don't we do X, Y, Z? Like that's, then you go into the head stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, the head stuff will get much more easily received, and then you can go to the hands and the feet. And for reference, the hands is the training. All right, let's train. So how are we going to do this? Let's role play. All right, so the DCs are going to hand over. Now it's going to be, 3 for 4, 2 for 12. Yep, progress report every 12 visits. All right, great. So there's going to be some training around that. That's the hands, and then the feet. So heart, head, hands, feet. The feet is the doing. It's like, all right, everyone feel prepared? Yep, let's start doing. There's going to be some teething issues. There's going to be some learnings, but let's start doing it. Because now some focused repetition is what builds it into our nervous system, and next thing you know, we turn pro at it, right?
Yes. So if you're someone who says like, oh, I did my vision last year, just know Bobby and I would both give you the advice that you're spending a fair amount of time in your vision so that you can do what he just gave you practically, where you're helping re-rally your people to where they need to focus so that you can ask them to do the stuff that they need to do that are the details, but to do it with understanding and actual momentum behind knowing that this is important for us to get to the goals that we want.
Yeah, golden. And Lona, have you noticed this? I'm sure you have, but the higher the level of the practice, the higher the caliber of practice that we work with, the more time disproportionately is spent on vision casting. Mm-hmm. So like as you go to like higher and higher practice, like we literally tell our CEOs, your 3 highest leverageable activities that you should be doing is vision casting is number 1, and then getting clear about what's important now, what projects are important now, and then what's going to be important next. Like it's amazing how that happens, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Actually, a mentor said to me one time, I'm going to share the story, Bobby. A mentor said to me, this is many years ago. He said, if you watched me, and this was someone who had been very successful in chiropractic for a long time. He's like, if you watched me right now, you'd think I don't do much, right? He's like, I'm at my desk a lot. I'm on a computer. I might be just sitting there staring and thinking about something. He's like, but there's more production coming out of me than there ever has been, even though I'm technically sitting at my desk more often than I've ever had before. He's like, I'm spending so much time just letting like the unfolding of what the next iterations of the visions are going to be and figuring out who I'm going to put where and how this is going to happen. And that mind work is more important than anything I used to do. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting. So
yeah, that's huge. Massive. I love it. So I want to leave everyone, Lona, with a practical tip here. So you probably don't even know I'm going to ask you. In fact, you don't know that I'm going to ask you this question. One major tip or advice. You probably see my little one in the background here. She's calling me. What is the one major tip or advice that you would give for someone who's prepping for a board meeting from Dr. Lona?
Don't gloss over the vision. Go into like the true full vision and how impactful this is for your people and the vision we have for them. And, You maybe use an actual, like you, Bobby, you said, you went back through the history, and sometimes that's necessary. And other times it's like really getting into a few stories of how like our vision has influenced other people's lives, like really milk that, because I think you can ask people to do almost anything and to get their life force energy moving in a direction of like the details that need to happen next if they're inspired by the vision. So that would be my one thing.
I love it. That's spot on. I would agree with that 100%. If I was going to add another thing to give you guys 2 tips, it's preparation. The board meeting is something that you as the leader need to be prepped with, and your team. So don't go into it with, guys, we're doing a board meeting in 2 weeks, and then just get them rocking up. Remember, chime in equals buy-in. So get them to do stuff on the front end that will help them prepare. They'll show up a different person at that board meeting. And then, of course, it goes without saying, that's exactly the same for you as well. Make sure you do the preparation work necessary so that you're leading that thing properly and that you're not just kind of there winging it. That's what makes all the difference in the world. So love it.
So good.
Awesome. All right, guys, there you heard it. Hey, guys, if you want to see how we put all this together, definitely follow us on our socials, right? Go onto Instagram. We are Lona Cook, or I'm Bogdan or Bobby Ilijasevic on Instagram. You'll see behind the scenes there in office. I post there most days so you can see what's happening inside the office and how we put it all together. So definitely follow us on there. Lona, until next time, it's been fantastic. Guys, go and get your board meetings organized and executed.
Thanks, Bobby.
Catch you next time.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on.
All right, what's up everybody? This is Coach Dr. Sebastian. Today we're talking about spinal hygiene and implementing spinal hygiene in your office to have not only better results, but to just elevate the standards, raising your standards and just providing a more comprehensive care that ultimately helps better the patient. By the way, for those of you who don't have 30 minutes for listening to this whole podcast, in the end, Dr. Tabor is going to offer 10 calls, 10 doctors, 10 strategy calls to help 10 doctors implement. He's going to go step by step. It's just 4 steps, super easy, step by step to just implement. Whether you use his products or not, he doesn't care. He just wants to elevate the profession, elevate your standards, and help you help more people in a more aligned way. So if you're interested, just in the comment, in the section of the comments, just put the word, spinal hygiene, and we'll reach out, or they can send an email. Where can they get a hold of you, Dr. Tabor?
Dr. Tabor at spinalhygienist.com.
Look at that. So perfect. That's for all those of you who gotta go. For those of you who got time, you're in for a treat. So Dr. Tabor, I've been using spinal hygiene now for how many years, bro? Like 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5, at least 4.
4 or 5 years, and I went from using Maximize Living's home care kit, which are great but very expensive, to saving literally 66% on every home care kit. So adding to the net profit, and also being able to provide the same results. So not only I'm saving a lot of money with this home care kits from Spinal Hygiene when I made the shift. Not only that, but it also comes with this booklet, and the booklet is in Spanish. For those of you who don't know and can't notice the accent, I'm in Puerto Rico, and I have 2 offices in Puerto Rico, 2 in the States, and that's what we use, and we're saving money. Where the patients have something that is very visual also, so that is very user friendly. I just love it, man. I really do love it. And I also love the fact that you're doing this to not only help doctors, increase their profit and, have different verticals. All right, whatever, that's left hand, but right hand, meaning mission and vision, man, we're just elevating the whole profession. We're just elevating the standards and helping doctors just raise their own standards. And that just helps them, the patient, and chiropractic.
Amen, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I want to share today real quickly how you can increase your retention in your practice. Look, the spinal hygiene kits, they get great results for your patients, which is awesome. They're easy to implement. You don't have to do any work. It's team driven, super easy, which is awesome. But the big thing that our doctors that are using spinal hygiene kits are seeing is that it's helping to plug the holes in the practice. You're spending so much time, so much effort, so much energy, so much money on marketing, getting new patients in, which is the lifeblood of the practice. You have to do that. But if you don't have a system that engages those patients once they start care, and you don't have a system that educates them about lifetime spinal care, then you're going to have lower re-signs, you're going to have no growth, and there's just going to be a lot of stress in your practice that doesn't have to be there if you implement a simple spinal hygiene program. Look, we have 4 clinics in the Houston area, and I get a lot of practice trying to plug these holes, trying to build these clinics, and nothing has worked better since we've implemented some of the strategies I'm going to share with you real quickly. Our R4 stick rate has increased, our re-signs have increased. 2 of our 4 clinics have set monthly records in the last couple of months. We set a company-wide record of 254,000 collections in 1 month, all because of the things I'm going to share with you today. And we're still doing, marketing across the board that we've always done, posting content like crazy, paid ads, Facebook, Instagram, Google. We're doing dinners, we're doing workshops, all those things that are bringing the new patients in. You got to keep doing. But we're focusing our efforts on a couple of other areas that are really paying off. And it all started when we started really tracking numbers from our marketing. We were tracking the cost per acquisition, not only the cost to acquire an exam, so how much we paying to get a lead to convert to an exam. Then we started tracking how much ultimately are we paying per area of marketing. For example, like how much are we paying to get a Facebook patient to start care every month? How much are we paying to get a dinner with the doc patient to start care every month? We were noticing some months, some of these pathways or some of these marketing avenues we're spending $1,500 to start a $2,500 care plan or a $3,000 care plan. Some of them we're paying $3,000 to start a care plan. We shut those down immediately, but we noticed a trend that was happening in our clinics. In fact, we noticed that 42% of our monthly income actually comes from referrals, even though we were spending almost zero time focused on referrals. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, amazing. That's amazing. That's a lot of referrals and engaged patients are compliant patients.
Absolutely.
And that's our business, man. We're in the business of compliance.
And compliance or engagement, same type of thing. If you can increase compliance and engagement, you increase all other statistics.
Everything.
Raises everything.
Exactly. This is why I love your product. This is why spinal hygiene it just affects every area, every aspect of your practice.
So get this, we're spending 42%. I mean, we're bringing in 42% of our monthly income from referrals, but we're spending 80% of our marketing money and time on digital. We still do digital, but I'm just saying we weren't spending enough time focused on the things, the 80-20 principle, focusing on the things that are actually working in through there. And so what we did is we created a couple of pathways, some specific systems built in, and TRP teaches this already. Unfortunately, we just weren't doing it very well. It's our family referral program, making sure that we're doing better results faster workshops. And at the end of every workshop, we're telling them for the next 2 weeks, friends and family get a free exam in our office. So let the front desk know who you want scheduled. We'll include all x-rays. So we're increasing referrals during every Better Results Faster workshop. That's working for us to get more new patients in. We started a condition of the month, and we tied the condition to our body signals workshop, which we're already doing, right? But now we have posters all over the office every month. The doctors know that we have to ask 3 people a day. Like this month is raising healthy kids. We're like, we're focused on raising healthy kids this month, Mary. Who do you know who needs to get their kids in the office? And we have referral packets up at the front. And one of the specific things that we've done that helped us more than anything increase engagement is starting what we call a 21-day spinal hygiene challenge. And we start it during the Better Results Faster workshop. So where we used to do a day 3, day 1 is the exam, day 2 is the report, day 3 is their first break-in or their first full day in the office. And we used to give them their kit and show them how to use it there. Now we do that at the Better Results Faster workshop. And we tell them, we're going to sign you up for the next 21 days. You're going to get an email from us that will remind you to do your spinal hygiene exercises and will help you to create habits that will help you take care of your spine for a lifetime. So from the beginning now, we're talking about lifetime spinal care. And we do it for 21 days because we tell them it takes 21 days to create a habit. And then we want you to go on, and once you've created that habit, we want you to continue to do it. It takes 90 days to create a lifestyle, and we want you to make taking care of your spine and nervous system part of your lifestyle. So that in the beginning, getting patients engaged in that is it's vital. You'll see all your statistics increase. And then that's built-in education. So along with the 21 days, every email is educating. It's almost like a blog. Every day they're getting that. They're getting reminded, and they're seeing the reasons why they need to take care of their spine and nervous system. Along with that, we implemented email protocols for our body signals workshops or for our conditions of the month. So now we have a pure content-driven email that goes out to our patients every week. And so this month again is Raising Healthy Kids. So they got an email this week talking about the importance of chiropractic for kids with a link in it that drives them to our body signals workshop or Raising Healthy Kids workshop. And next week, they're going to get another content email, and then with a link in it, drives them to our workshop. Another email drives them to our workshop. And then the next month is Bulletproof Your Low Back, I think. So we're doing that every week with a link in it, content that's educating them. And the only way you're going to grow and stop those leaks and build retention is through engagement and education. Dr. Franson calls it, turning believers into understanders. That's how we do it. More engagement, more education.
Yeah, man. This is one of the reasons why not only we need a practical way of applying this, which is the spinal hygiene kit and the physicality of it, and giving something like very real to the patient. And it just increases accountability. Again, just engagement, compliance. Also, the flip side of that is the doctor doing the spinal hygiene also? Is the doctor also practicing what it's preaching? So this is a very big idea for a lot of chiropractors who are like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm not taking care of my spine. I'm not doing what I'm asking my patients to do. And when you enroll in this 21-day challenge and you do it with them, it just not only helps you as a doctor, but you start creating community.
Yep, absolutely.
Your practice, which also drives retention. It's something that it's like free marketing, man.
Absolutely, which is another reason why I would love for the listeners, at least the first 10, to set that call up with me, because I'll walk you through not only how to use the products, implement them efficiently in your office, but I'll show you how we set up the 21-day challenge. I'll show you how we set up our weekly drip emails, and we can even do that for you. And I can explain exactly how we do that for you if you want that done. But you can implement these systems that increase engagement and education really without you having to lift a finger or do much of anything at all. And you'll start to see light bulbs go off in patients, their eyes whenever they come in and they start realizing, I haven't been taking care of my spine. And, you're the one teaching them how to do it now. Then you become that expert. You become their lifetime chiropractor. That's how dentistry did it, right? Was they were teaching people how to take care of their teeth, not just coming in for regular visits all the time, but how to do it at home. And what it did is it built a value on that. And now society has a greater value of taking care of the teeth. The same exact value, if not more, should exist for the spine and nervous system. And we can create that in our own culture, in our own communities, by implementing these spinal hygiene programs.
I have a question. Why do chiropractors, in your opinion, don't have spinal hygiene or they don't recommend corrective exercises. What, in your opinion, why is it that some chiropractors don't do that, don't have that, don't implement that?
Yeah, I think it's the same reason why a lot of chiropractors do pay per visit. It's just like they think they sell this one thing, and that's all they do. Whereas a lot of the TRP chiropractors, a lot of chiropractors who practice like us, they want to be that. They want to change people's life, change their lifestyle, be that educator. They want that office to be a family practice and help take care of generations. If you want that, then I think a spinal hygiene program is something that's really important.
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen real quick, because this goes perfect with this talk track. I've been talking to doctors who are just, a lot of doctors not only do chiropractic, but they also have decompression and soft wave and, whatever it is that they are doing, functional medicine, supplements, right? So basically, what I see in a lot of practices is this model, which is the pie model, right? The pie model says that in this office, we do chiropractic care, we do functional medicine, we do decompression, we sell supplements, and we do corrective exercises, spinal hygiene. Okay. Now, what we teach is subluxation-centered model. Everything you do is to correct the subluxation. The problem with this model is that even though you're cross-selling and you get, if you treat everyone as a vertical, a different vertical, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of marketing. It's like 4 different businesses in one business. If you treat it that way, it's very economical. But when you try to cross-sell between them, it's like it creates an either-or conversation. It's like, okay, so I'm done with chiropractic, now I'm going to do this. It's like, no. It's an and conversation. So doing either-or conversations, you don't maximize the resources and all these patients that you have inside this model. So what we teach is the following model, which is you have subluxation correction in the middle, and then you have, corrective chiropractic care. You have to restore and correct the subluxation. You also have, functional medicine to decrease inflammation, decompression to help correct the subluxation. You have supplements for deficiencies and toxicities to reduce the chemical cause of subluxation so that we can correct your subluxation. We have spinal hygiene, which are corrective exercises that are going to help you correct your subluxations. So now subluxation becomes the center message. It can also be inflammation. Okay. And now it's easy to connect all those. Yeah. Yep. Listen, you need to see the functional medicine because it's going to help you correct your metabolic subluxation. And then it's just like, oh, okay, right. Yep. So, right, I'm here because I'm here to correct my subluxation. This is the benefit of having a subluxation-centered philosophy, subluxation-centered approach. And this is real easy to cross-sell, much easier. So I love how, spinal hygiene fits into the subluxation correction model. It's such an, first of all, we include it in every care plan. And it's again, it just drives engagement. Engaged patients are compliant patients, and they get better results. They get, they refer, they stay longer, so they retain, and revenues increase. So how we say it is like, in compliance, we have our favorite R's, which is referral, retention, revenues, and results. So yeah, what do you got to add about that?
It's interesting, when you were writing that diagram, it made me think, like, in dentistry has done a similar model in that, if a family practice, at least, they want you coming in pretty regularly for checkups to find cavities, because you have to have a dentist on your health team to check, detect, and correct cavities. You can't brush them out at home. You can't use floss and get rid of a cavity. Once a cavity's there, you got to have a dentist to correct it. And it's similar with subluxation. You can't exercise out a subluxation. You can't do enough spinal hygiene exercises to correct that subluxation once it's really there. That's why you need that chiropractor on your health team and going in for regular checkups and adjustments to detect and correct that subluxation, and then educate families on the importance of implementing those lifestyle changes like spinal hygiene, etc., supplements, things like that, to educate and coach families who want you to be their chiropractor.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're reaching the end of our time here. So how can chiropractors reach you? How what you got for them? I know you have spots to share and gift your time to help doctors implement this, because honestly, that's like, I think it's like, oh, I know I gotta do it, but it's like, oh, another thing on my plate. Relax.
I know.
Tabor's gonna help you make it real easy, very simple. Whether you use spinal hygiene kit or not, it doesn't. This is not to buy his stuff. This is just to help you elevate what you're doing. Just increase your standards.
And that's the reason I started doing this, is because, number one, you can go to spinalhygieneproducts.com. You can buy the kits and implement them however you like. But what I noticed is, when I did get on a call with a team or with a doctor, I was able to help them tweak little things that I've seen in hundreds of other offices, and how they're implementing them and how they're using them. And I got a lot of really good feedback from that. It's like, once you told us to start doing this, or once you helped us with understanding this, or you taught, my staff about this, it really took it to the next level in our office. And I want to help you do that. I want to help docs do that. If I can just talk with you for a few minutes, and it helps you to implement that, have you less stress in your life, and your practice grows and your patients get those results, that's what it's all about. I'll show you everything we offer, and you can use whatever you want to.
Awesome, man. Beautiful.
So again, the email is Dr. Tabor at spinalhygienist.com. That's DRTABOR at spinalhygienist.com. Just shoot me an email. I'll send you my calendar link, and we'll get scheduled.
Awesome, man. Awesome. My last words on this is thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I've been following you. I remember just seeing you on Facebook, doing videos about, hey, spinal hygiene, do this and that, and having, a couple of views, and now, I don't know, what's it, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah. It's been at least 7 or 8 years. Yep.
Life University has a spinal hygiene certification program. And you're certifying CAs, you're certifying doctors, elevating the profession. I want to congratulate you. I'm so proud of you, brother. And
thank you, man.
And I wish you all the success that you deserve. So
thank you, brother. That means a lot to me, and thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So guys, girls, queens, and kings, information doesn't change lives. Action is what changes lives. So email Dr. Tabor, get on the phone with him, implement, elevate your standards, and watch the magic happen. Love you all. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.